for
All right.
sure.
With that being said, let's move on. Let's talk about Reddit, and something we've talked about a couple of times. Actually, I put out a video recently talking about how drivers are quitting, but smart ones aren't because they know what to do.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people who are getting fed up with things. There's a lot of people who are sick and tired of some of the stuff when it comes to pay.
Yeah.
And then this driver right here, Eddie Bear 24. Um, Posted I'm out and gave a pretty good description on why. And if you
Yeah.
read between the lines, it was a really big point that they had. So I'll read through this. It says, it's been
Yeah.
2.5 years and I finally got the right opportunity to move on. Not a moment too soon. In those 2.5 years, the rides offered have consistently gotten worse and worse. It served its purpose in giving me the ability to pay my bills while being picky about what offer I accept for my next job, but I was never able to get ahead. That was one of the things I read between. Just
Yep.
existing. Goodbye to the constant anxiety of being one breakdown away from being broke with no way to repair my only means of supporting myself. Goodbye to the babysitting, stinking drunks, sketchy riders, entitled old men, evangelical old women, obvious teens, reservation, and multiple stop rides. I traded all for safety, mental health, and a steady paycheck and benefits. It
Yep.
wasn't all bad, but the good was just okay, and the bad was really bad. I leave it to the rest of you brave souls. You are wildly underpaid for the good work you are doing. Good luck getting fair pay from Uber. May your rides be short but pay well. And may your tips be generous and frequent. I'm out. So, yes, the thing that stuck out to me the most when it came to this, and I don't know if this is what you picked up on too, Sergio, but
Yeah.
knowing you, I think it was the
Yeah.
fact that he or Eddie Bear, I'm assuming he, but it could be, I don't know, was that he never made enough to get ahead, that he was, just living literally ride to ride to ride. You talk about paycheck to paycheck. This is living ride to ride and not being able to get enough to worry that if you had a breakdown because you're driving so much,
Yeah.
that you might be out of the game and you might not have to be able to pay for it. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, this is how a lot of drivers are. So they're overworked, stressed out, and not feeling like they can get ahead. The
Yeah.
question, not necessarily the question, but the reality is, yes, it's difficult, and yes, there are things that unfortunately do happen like this, and you gotta really pay attention to. But one of the biggest things that I think that most people do that aren't doing is that you need to sit down and have a real conversation with yourself about figuring out what you are spending your money on, how you can tighten up, how you can, move away from that. And then the other thing is you have to have the discipline to continue operating even when you hit your bills. So if you say I have to make $100 and then you make that $100, you stop.
Yeah.
You're not going to say, "Hey, I need to make I need to go 8 hours and in my 8 hours I could make $200." You go to that $100, you stop and then you move on to the next. That's what I've noticed from a lot of people. And that makes sense because it's like, "Hey, I got what I need to do. I'm good. I'm going to go home."
Yeah.
But
This
that's where
is,
you can't get ahead. So you got to take strategy. You got to think of this as a business. You got to think of this as a way to do that. If you want to continue operating where you're going to be profitable, then on top of that, you need to also know your costs. I've talked about that so many freaking times that if you
yeah.
don't know costs associated with driving, you have
Yeah.
no idea if you're profitable or not. You're just trading time for money and depreciation. So
Yep.
when it comes down to it, you really got to pay attention to some of these things. But the biggest thing, like I said, you have to sit down, you have to look at your own personal financial picture, and you have to see where can you cut? What are you spending money on? Are you working as much as you should be when it comes to trying to get ahead? Are you doing things beyond that? Um, you know, the problem is, yes, pay has gone down. It has gone down substantially from, about a decade ago to, upfront fares to what we're seeing today. The reality is, you still can make money out there. We've seen Iron Man in Boston make $3,000 a month, or I'm sorry, a week, and still go out there week after week after week after
Yeah.
week and do it. We've seen other people come in Atlanta, importantly, talking about how they've made few weeks where they've been able to do $4,000 a week.
Yeah.
Is that typical? No, you're spending a lot of time sitting in your car doing that. I mean, like 80 hours, and it's a lot of wear and tear on the body. It's a lot of wear and tear on the car, and a lot of wear and tear in that. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things you got to do, but you could figure out a lot of different things or hope to. And I think a lot of people are going into it so blindly that they're not realizing that their own financial picture or how much money they could save by cutting out subscriptions or things like that. Or just in general, like what are you spending your money on that you could potentially like move off of and stuff like that,
One thing I always say is work smarter, not harder. If you aren't using the Solo app, then you may be working harder. So let's change that. Download the app, link your accounts where you can manage your income, track your expenses, and project your taxes. Not only that, but you can plan by optimizing your time, make more, and even guarantee your daily pay with guaranteed earnings. Download Solo and begin to work smarter, not harder today. Link is in the description. All right, let's get back to it.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. You hit the nail on the head. There's a glass ceiling in this business, folks, okay? We cannot do more trips than we can do in a 60-minute period, except that when you're exchanging time for money, you need to exchange as little time as possible and as much money as possible. And you can get ahead if you have a budget for this, right? And most drivers don't budget. Most drivers don't treat this as a small business. Most drivers just put gas in the car and go, don't understand cost per mile and any other stuff. Please, folks, please. I mean, we say this and a lot of people push back and saying, oh, it's not a small business. I mean, it is a small business. If you had a hamburger stand, you would know your cost down to the penny. You would know your food cost, insurance, power, water and power, all that shit. So please treat it that way. And I said this a million times, and we're a rideshare channel. Maybe I'm not supposed to say these things, but I say it a million times. Stand in front of the mirror, be honest with yourself after your costs. And one last thing, I want to eradicate, get rid of the word I made. You did not make diddly. Okay? You earned, that's your revenue. And now deduct the cost from that. That's the reality talk you guys need to have in front of the mirror with yourself. Because most drivers, I made 1,000. No, you didn't. You didn't make shit. Take your costs out. You may be at 600. At 600, it may be good, just like this gentleman. Go stand somewhere for 20 bucks as opposed to being in the car. Yes, it's still flexible. Yes, barriers to entry is easy. Use rideshare or gig work as a stepping stone to something else like this gentleman, or I'm assuming this gentleman, is doing. But money is still out there, and it's providing a livelihood for, according to Uber, 8.5 million people around the globe now. So if it wasn't that bad, people wouldn't be doing it. So there is still a valid point to do gig work, but it's not be all end all. And please listen to Chris, listen to me, have that conversation with yourself. You did not make it. You revenue, you grossed it. Once you figure that out, then it's up to you to find out what your bottom line is. Because after all those expenses, specifically depreciation, because that's the most overlooked part of cost per mile. And once you figure all that out, then maybe the trips you accept are going to change. Maybe the hours you work are going to change. And then, there were some rebuttals and congrats, best of luck and whatever. And there was this other one on the bottom. This has been me as a single mom for the last 8 years. I haven't found a job willing for the hours I need. So a lot of people are doing this, and the flexibility is definitely still the biggest plus. Is it the earnings? No. Is it the income? No. And I put up a comment. Earnings have gone down. That's a fact. Uber can say whatever the heck they want. It's not true. Earnings have declined. And what has happened, the more important part is costs have increased, because unlike the government gaslighting, cost of living is not 2% in this country from your rent. And it doesn't have to be for your car. From your rent, your food costs, your insurance costs, all these things have gone up. You have your rent has gone up. Your every time, I mean, your car insurance has definitely gone up on the personal side. Forget rideshare. All these costs, you pay with your earnings from Uber and Lyft, especially if you're a full-time driver. So look, we understand it's difficult out there, but it's still a very viable alternative of flipping burgers. Okay. And, but again, you know, if it was that bad, 8.5 million people wouldn't be doing it.
All right, thanks for watching. That short little clip was from our live stream, Show Me the Money Club with Sergio and myself, Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Make sure you subscribe, turn on all notifications so you'll be notified when we go live, as well as all of our awesome content. Make sure to check out this video right here, which will take you to the entire live stream, or check out this video right there. All right, drive smart, everyone.